Oh my.
What's up, everybody? Back again, Warp Charge Gaming. It is I, George, here with Chris and James. And this is the Thursday night Eastern Standard Time Wargaming talk show we do every Thursday, episode 88. And it is going to be a party. How you doing, Chris? James? Good to see you.
Oh man, I'm good.
Excellent.
They will
Good
not
news.
take my guns.
Fair. Yeah, I know, Chris, you've been biting at the bullet to see the release schedule with GW right now due to the upcoming major in just a few weeks. Our second 40K major, 64 players, 2-day event with over 3K in prize support, custom objective markers, the whole works. And you've been working hard on your Genestealer Cult army, and apparently the next upcoming book that they'll literally release the week before the tournament.
Yep. So pre-orders go live this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. on the Eastern Coast, and that means that the book will be out exactly 1 week afterwards, which means that it will come out on the day lists are due.
Yeah, the lists are due. Lists are due next Saturday by midnight, and there just so happens to be a new 40K release the very same day. So we are going to allow that. I want people to get to play with the new sauce, especially the fact that, I mean, there's Guard in there, but at least there's not Space Marines in there. So
there's also Tau. Tau is scary, man.
Yeah, but I'm okay with Tau winning,
Hey.
because it's not Marines.
Can I mention something about Tau
Let's hear
and
it.
one of the new stratagems?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they got a 1 CP stratagem
Okay.
that if it's like a heavy variable shot weapon,
D6.
like D6 shots, D3
Riptides,
shots,
ion cannons. Yeah.
yeah, it's automatically the max, right?
Oh.
So it's and it can't be Titanic keyword, but there's a Forge World Riptide out there.
The Yavara.
That gets 3D3 shots from its heavy weapon from a distance. And then when it comes to flamers, it's like 3D6.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
So basically,
the main shot's basically a las cannon, but you're getting fucking 3D3, so 9 shots of it. And then the other one is a strength 6, neg 2, flat 3 damage flamer that they will get 18 shots, like 18 hits with.
Yep.
For 1 CP.
Whoa. So surely, Chris, Genestealer Cult has something so powerful in there, right? I mean, oh my god.
So far the teases have been very sparse for Genestealer Cult and very underwhelming.
Oh no. Oh no.
But I can tell you there is one, they teased one psychic power that is definitely very strong for Genestealer Cult.
Dude. Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
Well, I was going to say, what James is referencing, though, the Avara Forge World suit, that was something people honed in on the second that tease came out. That is very, very strong. I mean, one of the things that we, and this is a point that Ali actually made, don't fully know at this point. There is a new Forge World book coming, so the Avara could change. It may not be the same. This could be just a short-lived little span of, oh, wow, this is really obviously, really good.
Yeah.
But no, it's very, very strong. Beyond that, Genestealer Cult got a psychic power where they target an enemy. It's cult specific, so it's only for Twisted Helix, which is the more punchy, close combat-y cult. Everything in close combat that fights the enemy unit that you target counts as having +1 to wound. So there's actually multiple ways to stack +1 to wound now with Genestealer Cult, which is definitely very strong. Other factions are already aware of that.
Yeah.
Especially because, for the basic troops for Genestealer Cult, 6s to wound are normally neg 4 AP, and with +2 to wound, that makes 4s to wound negative 4 AP.
Ouch. Yeah.
There's definitely some sauce, but this new book is looking really solid. I don't remember as much of the Tau teases. They're obviously getting a new Shadow Sun model. And I think it comes with, they're redoing command drones, and they've redone the profile in Shadow Sun. The weapon has changed a little bit. It's definitely a better model, both aesthetically and on rules.
Well, one thing I've heard that is a big deal is that now Shadow Sun is not just tethered to the Tau Sept, but can be taken
you are actually completely correct.
That's a big deal.
And Shadow Sun is unaffected by all of the Sept rules, except for the one that Shadow Sun's originally from. So, yes, you can take Shadow Sun in any Tau army, but we'll only get like the
Sept
Doctrine
aura?
or, you know.
Oh, well,
Yep.
that's not that great.
Yes, that's the way. That's what I feel like I saw. I mean, it is the tease. I could have misquoted that. Beyond that, Gene Stealer Cult, they got a 1 CP stratagem that lets the Primus use his reroll once to wound ability a second time on the turn he deploys. Not great, not bad. The reason I say it's not great is because a lot of stuff in Gene Stealer Cult in close combat is going to overkill stuff in close combat anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's useful to have, not great, not bad. And there's also all the factions involved are, of course, getting the build your own chapter sort of rules. Tower getting them, Guard is getting them, Scions are getting them. They've teased all the Scion regiments today. I didn't get a very good look at those. Guard got a really cool stratagem. Well, I think it's cool. A lot of Guard players are underwhelmed. Your Bulgrin units, if they're up front or if they were closer to the enemy,
I love this stratagem.
It's so great, I think. But
they can't be. You can't target other shit or what?
You can, but they're basically so big and fat and in the way that you get a -1 to target the thing behind them.
Okay.
And because of the way it's worded, it doesn't say Imperial Guard either. So, like, you could feasibly stack this.
The way it's worded is friendly infantry.
Yes, dude, it has to be infantry.
That's not the first Psychic Awakening time they've done. The new Thousand Suns book is littered with stuff that just affects friendly units, even though it takes the special keyword to open up the ability to even do that. But then once you get the relic or the trait or whatever, it just affects friendlies. It's crazy.
Yeah,
yep.
So what's crazy is these Bulgrins give it to Tyranids.
Yep. You can literally stack it with the -1 hit aura from Tyranids, because you can take Brood Brothers, Bulgrins, and then you can use all the stratagems for Guard if you take Brood Brothers, just not the regiment-specific ones, and that's not a regiment-specific stratagem.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and literally and figuratively shake my head right now. I'm shaking my head.
It could get FAQ'd.
God, dude, what's funny, and you guys haven't even heard about this because I've been raging on my Age of Sigmar thread. On Facebook land, I'm sure many gamers out there have their friend group and they talk rules amongst their homies. Well, now I got one for Infinity, I got one for Sigmar, I got one for 40K. And dude, I'm so mad at GW. I'm just saying, they just came out with the new Tzeentch FAQ for Age of Sigmar. And it made me so mad at their lack of insight, or just like that they can't see how bad they're trashing their own rules. Like especially as a Tzeentch player. I've seen horrors get ripped up so many times over the years now, from when they first gave us the split rule to where we had free summoning to where we didn't have free summoning, et cetera, et cetera. Well, horrors have been changed again in a kind of a conglomeration of several old additions into Sigmar. But okay, the thing that makes me upset, so they wrote the new Destiny dice, right? And for Tzeentch gets to roll 9 Destiny dice. Those dice can be used to replace or to have before you roll your dice, you can choose to use a Destiny dice, and that's your roll, right?
And it ignores modifiers.
Yeah, and it ignores modifiers, okay? That's like the important thing. So people were then taking that, and I was getting into arguments and doing live streams with people that were watching, because I was like, look, I've been playing horrors and Tzeentch for a long time, and I've seen all these different back and forths, and I'm not going to play it the way the internet was saying I should have played it, which was that you could say, okay, I have a 4-up armor save, you have an AP -2. Well, I use a Destiny dice, so that means it can't be modified by your AP, so 4 automatically passes. All right, that was a stretch, but I could see that a little bit based on the can't be modified. But then I was getting real pissed when they were like, okay, it's leadership time, a unit of 20 horrors could be like 100 bodies. And, I've killed 55 horrors. Okay, well, I'm going to use a 2 on the morale, and that means that it's unmodified by all the dead bodies I've taken. And that pissed me off, and I was like, no, that's not how you play it. I'm not doing it that way. And so they FAQ it, and they write it out like, it's not modified except for leadership and when you take armor saves. That's when you will take the AP, or that's when you do suffer the dead bodies. I was like, great. They made everybody shut up. They agreed with me. I'm happy. But then people took that to the bank and ran with it, and then said that now you can't use the Destiny dice to hit the 1 anymore for the icon that's on the pink horrors. You know how you hit the icon, you get D6 guys back if you roll a 1 on the morale? You know what I'm talking about? So like you got an icon, you roll a 1 on the leadership, I don't lose anybody. In fact, I get D6 guys back. Forever and before, it has been the Tzeentch trickery that you could manipulate that and put down a 1. And it was
though, that's interesting.
What was obvious is that they had already balanced this out so that wouldn't happen easily, because they make it in the new horror rules that you have to pull the pink horrors first. So in the past, you used to be able to have 30-man squads of pinks. Now we can only have 20-man squads of pink. If somebody does 20 wounds to that horror squad, even though you're going to split all the way down, you have to pull the pinks first, and the pinks are the only one that can hold the banner. So that was like the easy balancing factor, is that if somebody's dumb enough not to be able to do a full 20 wounds to a unit of pink, you're going to get to use your Destiny dice if you rolled a 1 in the first place and get your D6 guys back. What's funny is that the previous Tzeentch book, it used to be D6 guys back, then they FAQ'd it down to D3 guys back, and then when they came out the new book, they brought it back to D6 guys. So I'm like, okay guys, all right. So the thing that's stupid, and that now that people are running with it and saying I can't use it on my icon, which pisses me off, is because rules is written, that's what it says, and it's because GW fucked it up. And the thing that I get mad at is when people believe that it was on purpose, or they say it as a matter of fact, and I am so past trusting GW to write their rules right. I mean, 1, they had to FAQ it in the first place. 2, it's not just like they clarified in this FAQ on the Tzeentch thing, because we have a battalion called the Change Host, and we get to pick up 2 units and teleport them on the board, which is super powerful. Old Tzeentch book, you had to have a 27-inch aura to the Lord of Change, and you could only pick up 2 units if you had a battalion filled with 9 units or more. So you'd have to take all these taxing squads to be able to actually teleport 2 guys. So for whatever reason, in the new book, they're like, no, you know what? That's not broken anymore. You don't need a 27-inch aura. You can just pick up 2 guys and teleport them however you want. And it's free. There's no prerequisite. You always get 2. So not only did they clarify this the Destiny dice thing, but they also made it only 1 thing can teleport. So it's like they already made this huge glaring rule. They're like, we used to have it be 2. We're gonna we're gonna FAQ it down to 1. Now we're gonna do a new book. Let's bring it back to 2 again. Oh no, we fucked up. Let's bring it back to 1. You know.
What's interesting to me about that is you said that they don't let you use Destiny dice to trigger the 1 on the icon.
Right.
That seems odd to me, because I know there's an example in 40K where modifiers are. It's shooting and advancing, actually, I think is what it is, with heavy weapons. You know how you normally can't do that?
Right.
Tyranid Onslaught got FAQ'd because people thought originally the way Onslaught read that you could advance and still shoot heavy weapons. You cannot. It says you ignore the modifier. The modifier is only the change to the hit roll or AP. Yeah. It is not the ability to actually shoot after, that is not a modifier, even though it does modify the way that you interact with things.
Right.
In the 40K example, they specifically said modifiers is, negative hit modifiers and AP modifiers and, things that alter a characteristic by plus or minus 1 or more. So that's interesting that they're like, no, you can't use that to get back D6 models, because there is kind of precedent for that.
What's funny, though, Chris, is they don't say that, right? They say it by accident because they wrote themselves out of the damn rule. I am willing to bet so much, in my heart of hearts, especially if you look at this FAQ for the Tzeentch AOS, it's funny because GW does like a public apology in the FAQ where they're like, hey, big thanks to all our community members. We can't get everything right. So here's this dramatic change because we fucked up from the get-go. And then I just think back to the Space Wolf Codex where they had to immediately give us a free PDF to our Warlord
that was bad.
They didn't do that right. Like, we have seen years and years now of them getting their rules all kinds of backwards, or whether they write the book months and months in advance and the meta changes and people figure shit
They
out.
are notorious about not getting things right the first time. I'll fully back you on that one. And I mean, arguably the second or third time. It's kind of hard.
It gets crazy when you have a kind of a history with that, and then you start to like feel like you have a strong feeling of the rules as intended, but then because they overlook something else when they're trying to write out another problem, they create even
They
more.
overcorrect.
Yeah, and it's just like it's so aggravating, right? Yeah. So just to go off on a tangent about I'm feeling the same sort of instinct with the way that the Psychic Awakening auras are of how they affect all these friendly units. I mean, look what they had to already do with Eldar, with Doom and Jinx.
Well, and the Maleceptor for Tyranids in their Psychic Awakening book, The Blood of Baal, they got that stratagem that is you spend 2 CP and all friendly units within 6 inches when they're attacked in the shooting phase count the enemy weapons as -1 strength.
Right.
It's a solid one. It's really good in teams tournaments. You can take a Maleceptor and a bunch of Knights and be like, guess what? Your strength 9 weapons are now only strength 8. You're not wounding on 3s anymore. It has some play. It's interesting to see for sure, especially because it's definitely counter to what they had been doing in terms of trends. But it's difficult to say.
This gives me a little segue. So what's funny is in my new Age of Sigmar list that I'm going to play for almost a rebellious type scenario, and because I'm annoyed, is going to be no pink horrors. Mahahaha. I just took them out. I just took them out altogether. I do think this is probably one of the lesser, more just like fun, attractive looking battalions in the new book. But this one, what's funny about this battalion, it's something Oracles, the requirement is that you must take 3 Lords of Change and 1 Fate Weaver, Kairos Fate Weaver. So that alone in points, you're prerequisited to have to bring 3 battle line or troop slots. So that's what's in this picture here is the bare minimum troop slots. These are the cheapest troops that Tzeentch can take. And when you take the cheapest troops plus the cost of the battalion plus the 3 Lord of Changes and the Fate Weaver, it's an exact 2,000 with no variable. So
nice.
So what's funny is that's what I'll be bringing. And I'm taking a special Legion ability that in this Tzeentch book that it's called the Guild of Summoners. And instead of having a whole chart of things that you can summon, the only things you can summon is more Lords of Change, and they're reduced greatly in cost. So usually it costs like 30 summoning points to bring in a Lord of Change. The very first one you bring in only costs 10. And the second one costs like 18, and the next one costs like 27. So you get these you only get to summon Lords of Change, no horrors, no nothing. So it's gonna be funny to go from this big stark contrast. I've literally been playing like 200 to 300 points or bodies worth of horrors, and then I'm just gonna go to this. So we'll see how that plays out. It's gonna be funny. I think I'm gonna be fighting a beautifully painted Fire Slayer army or dwarves on Monday, painted up by Oscar Lars painting studio. So really looking forward to showing that off. And then I want to show this because it's funny too. We were just talking about the 40K meta right now. Well, what's upcoming is that major on the 22nd. Chris is getting his stuff ready, and just because it's funny, it sounds like we're gonna have Tau whoop some ass. I just put a Tau PNG over the flyer there. So it looks like we're voting for Tau with their. We're gonna see triple Yavara, triple Riptide come in and win the day. Probably is gonna be my vote.
I think Guardman has some tricks coming up too.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't teased anything too crazy at this point, but like I know, for example, like the build your own regiment, like there's one of the, you pick 2 traits off a list. One of them is like as long as your guard unit is within 6 inches of another guard unit, they overwatch on 5s instead. Pretty solid.
Sure.
They have they're getting almost the exact same thing Tyranids got, which is something you could take instead of a warlord trait. All of the things Tyranids got that were the adaptive biologies are really, really nasty rules. That's where you can get like a 5-up invuln and double your wounds free degradation on a single thing. They're getting a version of that for their tanks. So, okay. I mean, it's really hard to say. They didn't tease any of what those rules are going to be, but they teased the stratagem to where you can take an extra one of those. So, like, you can take 2 in a list feasibly. Like, I mean, they're scary. They're definitely not slouches. I don't know what the meta is going to look like at all, honestly.
Yeah, respect to that. Well, this is a little bit different than who's going to win or lose, but I know everyone's going to kind of be a winner, Chris, because at our Coastal Wargaming Warp Charge Gaming collaboration tournament, we're going to have custom objective markers by 3D6
Fat
Gaming.
stacks of pancakes.
Look at them pancakes. I can't wait to get these in our possession. James designed them. I was talking to Danelle from Coastal Wargaming. We were just both excited about, these objective markers with this sweet, grim, dark, bloody skull and crossbones of bolters. There's lots of gaming club custom objective markers out there, but I think anybody universally is going to want this on their 40K table and going to use it across the wherever they travel to. And I was thinking about how cool it's going to be when bodies, because it's like cracked concrete with blood all over it, and when you actually got some models on there fighting over top of it, and all you see is the blood and the concrete, it's going to look sick. Obviously, we're going to have the Battlegrounds Warp Charge ones as well in a limited quantity, that if you send us a message to our email or whatever, so we can try to get you hooked up with those. But yeah, that's up and coming and really looking forward to it. But before we get too crazy, this very weekend, if you're around Saturday, we got Kill Team coming up. So Kill Team's on Saturday, 3-round stream will be going down. You can tune in all day and check out the fun. And then very next day, Sunday, will be a Warcry event. Hopefully we have a good amount of people come out for that. It's been a game I'm concerned about its health. I don't know how long it's going to live in the world. So hopefully long and prosperous. And one thing I'm super excited about the Kill Team tourney is going to be hilarious is I just found in the ever wondrous treasure trove of the Battlegrounds used bin a Kroot Kill Team. So this is going to be hilarious. I do dare say without much hesitation, this is the worst kill team in the game.
Dude, you're gonna go 3-0. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh my god!
You're talking all this crap about the Kroot, and they're just gonna whoop on some people.
It's gonna crack me up, dude. I'm definitely gonna stream myself first if there's an odd number of people, just so that they get a chance to be on cam. But it will be hilarious if I end up top table. There is no fucking way. They are just so bad. The reason they're so bad, they come from a White Dwarf and they literally have 0 weapon changeouts. A baseline Kroot has no option. There is no choice. And
so it's like demons.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it is. Same thing with the Hounds and the Krutex Rider. You can take 1 of the Riders, you can take 4 of the Hounds, and 13 of the Kroot guys. Excuse me.
Listen, man, those Kroot rifles are just gonna rock some people. You don't even know, man.
Yeah, that base strength 3 with that +1. Woo! Strength 4, baby. AP nothing, 1 attack. They are trash. 6-up armor saves. Oh my god, it's gonna be terrible. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out, and I think it's a great TO army as our tournament organizer army because I want to play hard and try to give somebody a good game, but I also don't want to steal their path to victory out from under them because the judge is fighting them or whatever. So this gives me something really shitty to play that if you lose to this, it's your own damn fault, and I don't feel bad for you. So sorry.
George's gonna whoop you with the worst army in the game.
Sorry to my victims. Munch, munch, I'm gonna eat ya. So yeah, looking forward to that. Today has been fun, and last week was fun. We had on the Infinity channel. If you guys go to Warp Charge Gaming presents Infinity Battle Reports, there's a look at our overhead. We had my birthday tournament last weekend, was awesome. What was super cool is Mike came out. Mike's been on the channel quite a bit, and he did 2 bat reps with me today. So we just filmed 2 Infinity bat reps that are over on the channel. You can go check out. And I was running Hakaslam. I ran 2 different sectorials, and I was telling James before we got on, Chris, that I was pretty much running what is the super heavies of Infinity. They're called tags. But I basically had a knight equivalent in the game, and it was pretty fun to give it a try. But here's a shot that I really wanted to share from last week's tournament, especially since I talk so much shit, because me and Mike are best frenemies. Here's a look at me and Mike fighting round 3 at the tournament. This is Mike's first Infinity tournament. His first couple times on stream was today. And in this picture here, this is a mission called Biotech War. So it's kind of like... I always forget the damn name that Ninja and them play. That's real popular, the video game, and the world closes in.
Fortnite?
Yeah, Fortnite. So the games like Fortnite where the zone closes in, and if you can't get to the middle, then you end up getting killed in the outskirts. That's what this mission is is that if you don't get out of your deployment zone and enter the center of the board, then the board basically eats you. And so in this case, Mike was like under distress trying to figure out how not to get eaten by the board while still trying to kill stuff and accomplish the mission. And he ended up just running up to the middle and hiding behind this building, and that's the best he could do, and all of his stuff was in a really precarious position. So then I moved up, and you can see all my guys kind of be all clumped together, which usually you're not, but I'm like, hey, Mike's a noob. I'm like, hey, Mike, do you have any like templates or anything that could hit multiple guys? No, I don't think so. No, is what he says. So cool, I just cruise on up to the middle. I'm ready to go fuck him up. And then one of the other players like, nah, dude, you got these one weapons. You got these nano pulsers, which is basically a teardrop template, like a flamethrower. And except for,
no.
and you know, which normally wouldn't be that scary because we're playing in the, you know, you have very limited amount of moves to be able to get your whole army to the middle of the board. So I played an elite army that was easy to move. So I had all these like big armored guys, super beefy jock dudes. But the type of weapon he had was bioengineered to attack me, my bioimmunity instead of my physical armor. And so he just slices. I have all this badass armor. I go to my bioimmunity save of 0 and just wrecks through them all. And here's what it looked like after that happened in a single turn. Everyone died.
Pew, pew, pew.
So that was really amazing. I think I was proud of Mike, and it was fun. And that was all done by Joan of Arc, which, just for a little bit of backdrop in the Infinity Realm, is really cool. If you were to read what that says there, basically the high-tech future humanoids there, they're like, hey, we need some inspiring leadership amongst our people. We need someone that's like highly charismatic and is going to lead people whenever that's in the deepest of shits. And so in this level into the future, they can basically bioengineer the characteristics of heroes of the past. And so they pulled this legend of Joan of Arc out of the stories, and they took the characteristics of her personalities, and they basically created that genetically kind of deal. And so this is literally the Joan of Arc recreation that fights for the powers of this faction here, and Joan was the one that went and wrecked everybody. So it was pretty badass. Gotta love how awesome that is.
Roar.
Yeah. So that was fun to talk about. A little bit went over the gamut there. Some cool things. But back to projects and whatnot. Here's what Chris has been painting up on his Gene Stealer Colt with an awesome 3D printed design from Worlds Overrun, done by us in-house.
Mm-hmm.
I see you got a lot of progress there, Chris. You've been painting your ass off.
Oh man, I'm just glad that they're good enough that I'm happy to put them on a table at this point. I mean, they could use some edge highlighting here and there, but I mean, there's a lot of them. Like literally, I have this new case or whatever that I put together. It doesn't fit all of the models that I need to bring to this tournament. Like it just doesn't, because that case, I can expand the case very easily, but the case holds 120 models, and I'm bringing like 140. So
yeah, wow, gotcha.
And that's without like the 10 characters I'm bringing. So
well, it's looking good, man. Good job. Speaking of shit getting painted, James did a dope-ass night for our buddy William, owner here at Battlegrounds. Check out this night. Bloody, bloody, bloody. Tell us about it, man. What was fun about the project? What inspired this sweet theme you got going on here, James? Tell us. Blood everywhere.
I don't know, man. Tonight, put blood on it. Like, he wanted a pirate theme, but it's a knight, so I painted Jolly Roger on it, you know?
It's nice. Cool. Did his shield come with the skulls and chains around the shield like that, up on his shoulder pad?
Yes, sir.
That's cool. Yeah, I hadn't really quite seen all those effects. Yeah, it kind of looks like you made it like the face is like eating something, like there's a bunch of blood coming out of his mouth right now or something.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the face, his mouth is like the face inside the mask. His mouth is like open and chomping.
Okay.
And it looks like he would be eating something.
Were you imagining him eating anything particular, James?
I don't know.
James, get
Iron
in.
Hands.
Tell me what he was eating.
An Impossible Burger.
Okay. It made him bleed from the gums because he was eating not flesh.
Yeah, you know, it was impossible.
Or it's just ketchup.
Maybe.
The banner looks fucking great, man. I mean, all the pipe work up top and everything, that's just a really cool model.
Yeah, no doubt. It's super dope. I can't wait to see it in person. And when it comes to the shop, it'll get some love on the channel too, so that's going to be a good time.
Cool. Yeah, tonight.
Well, way not to suck, buddy. Way not to
Oh
suck.
man, any progress on the chitin by chance? I'm just curious. Obviously, no pictures, or it would be up probably of that, but or at least not in the chat.
Yeah, no. I did kneecaps, so that was about it. And then went on.
Okay.
So that night. Dude, I have ADD like a motherfucker. I can
Listen,
never
man.
just do one project.
I mean, you got a whole bunch of them to work on, so I get it.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I have 12 projects going on at one time.
Damn.
And, like, I do this only to myself.
Yeah.
Only to myself.
I feel that. I have a lot going on project-wise, I think, often, too. It's all about them spreadsheet life, man. Just got to check off the list and whatnot.
Nah, fuck that, man. I want to engulf myself in completing it. I understand there is no control. And by knowing there is no control, I have the most control.
Respect. Something else that was cool this past week is I did a small upgrade to the overhead cam. I don't know if anyone out there, I wonder if people noticed this, But let me show you what I showed to James and Chris over the week here. So here's a look, and we're looking at the image of the battle map here. If you look at the terrain, kind of the green colors of the terrain, any of the little lines that you seem to be able to see on there, just look at the color saturation of the mat there, the blues and the look at what that looks like, okay? And then I changed some settings, and look how much more rich this next view is. Blam. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. You can see a lot more detail, a lot more pop on those colors. That was done with a little bit of color correction and saturation. Here's back to the old bland view. I feel like I'm in like old school TV or something now. Ugh. So maybe you didn't notice it, but things are always going forward there, friends. Trying to move on to the big time. A little bit better look. Chris, have you gotten to play in your, I know that playing has been more limited than typical, but have you gotten to play much of these Adepticon missions?
I honestly have not. Last time I gamed, which was the last time I played in a while, I played, right before the live show last week, and we did ITC because the guy was newer to tournament scene in general, and like he hadn't really been practicing Adepticon, so it would be kind of like, a flux to throw him that curveball, especially when used to the missions.
But it's the end of the season, and they're going to change the missions anyways, Chris.
And, what's also funny
right.
is the Adepticon missions are easier than the fucking ITC missions.
That's not true.
In some ways, I feel like, I feel like the pre-battlefield, like, I got to think about my secondaries and all that jazz. You're right. In that respect, it's much easier. But, like, I don't know, man. I've every year I've gone to Adepticon, which has only been twice so far. I mean, granted, the sobriety has been questionable, those events, but like, it's so much harder for me to wrap my head around how to succeed in those missions. Because I feel like at the core for ITC, like, yes, here's your secondaries, but those are usually what are going to come into play more in like the tiebreaker situation. Whereas like, if you're not killing more or scoring more, like you're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're, maybe I'm more surprised than I should be then, because I had one player sent me a message asking when kind of the refund policy was for the major event, which we have like a 30-person deep wait list. So, I mean, if anybody wants to jump out of there, please step aside for somebody that wants to play. But they were thinking about not coming because they weren't having fun playing the Adepticon missions. And I was like really kind of furrowed my eyebrows at that. I was like, well, one, that's kind of a personal problem because, I think it's up to us as individuals to have a good time when we play these games. But at the same time, are they not fun? I think they're fun. I played them like 10 times, 12 times now, tons of times.
Okay, I've only played them once, but I've looked at them like 4 or 5 times.
Same.
Going to play them, and both me and my partner are like, screw this, let's do ITC. It's just easier for us. Just because we roll the dice to see what mission we get, and we see it's like a different deployment, and we're like, fuck that. It's new. I don't want it.
Yeah, strange. How dare it?
I think that's a big part of how much we're able to play. This is another one of those moments where, like, when people won't play other game systems or whatever, time is a big factor. Like, a lot of times people won't play a new faction or get into a new game or whatever because they haven't got to make up their investment with the amount of time they played what they have already, and so they want to make sure they have fun and play something that they're used to and guaranteed to not kind of rock the boat or something,
Oh, dude, this is anecdotal, but one specific example comes to mind when I was still in college. So this is like 2012. But on 3 separate occasions, I've gotten together with people that are like, "Oh yeah, I know the rules for 40K," and it's like I'm like, this is what edition we're playing in, right? And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I go to roll dice with them, and they're like, "Oh, this works this way." I'm like, "No, you're thinking of an edition like 2 editions ago. Like you're wrong. Like
Right.
You just don't know what you're doing, man. Like why are you lying to me about this?" Like, if you're just forthright about me, like, I have no problem, like, an hour before the game doing some research and being like, oh, yeah, this is what edition we're playing in. I will train my brain back to that edition. Fine, whatever. But, to just show up and be like, I don't want to play this because it's new, it's like, it's difficult. I mean, the Adepticon missions are definitely a curveball, especially this year. The packet, I think, is the most different I've seen it ever.
I think it's better than the packets I've had in the past.
I will say, you had someone say that they're not having fun playing the missions. If you sit down to play the Adepticon missions and are expecting the ITC missions or expecting something different than the Adepticon missions, you will not have a good time. I remember the last 2 times I've gone to Adepticon, first year especially, I did not build my list to the missions, and I just got rocked. Not even, remotely close. Oh, wow, I just brought a horrible army.
Yeah, I feel ya. Hey, we got to make a quick pause for the cause here. Chicken Bone, man, appreciate you, brother. He saw us a super chat. $5 says, here's to your guys' consistency. Happy gaming. Thanks, Chicken Bone. You rule, man. Appreciate you.
Always looking out.
Yeah, that's not the first time, man. We certainly appreciate it, for real. Thank you. That is awesome, and Chicken Bone makes me feel good. Yes, it does. So back at it. I hear what you're saying, Chris, in every way, and I think the missions are cool. It weirds me out when I totally get that people don't like change, but I, for one, this is where the reason I say that I think it's based on this time scenario is because for me that has more time to play games. Thank goodness. I play a fuck ton of games over and over again, and I welcome and relish the change. I see different deployment zones. I'm like, hell yeah, something different. But if you only get to play
When's the last time
month,
you were even in a game store, George?
Yeah, no kidding, right? Every day.
Hey, let's ask a more legitimate question. When was the last time you were in a different game store, George?
That's a good question.
Oh, man.
That was back at Baltimore Brawl for Infinity months and months ago.
Bam.
It's tough to get me out of the old war battlegrounds here. There's just really no reason for me to leave. And I have I have a really hard time believing that the next game store I'm going to go to is going to give me any better or more comfortable of an environment to be in. Especially one with so much control, like music and places to put my shit.
Super shout out to Battlegrounds, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of game stores in my time, and there's not a lot that really compare. I mean, I'm sure that especially in some of the bigger cities, like in James' neck of the woods, there are definitely stores that do compare, but there's a lot of small little nonsense stores too. No offense.
Hey, not to put anyone on blast here, but one of my favorite game stores here locally, Cataclysm, that I'd go to quite often before I took this little hiatus and did some hobbying. They used to allow us to drink, and it was reminding me a lot of Battlegrounds, but it gave me that one over of Battlegrounds. We can drink there. And then our buddy Kevin Leonard had to go and get wasted. When I wasn't even there. And now, we're not allowed to drink there anymore.
No.
And I'm not so happy about this. And that drive out there, man, it's I can't drink there now. It just saddens me.
That is a bummer, buddy.
Because, dude, that's my favorite thing about game stores when you're allowed to drink in them.
Sure, that definitely kicks it up a big notch. Well, that was something I was about to say about when we're talking about this. For those that have never been to Battlegrounds, we're talking about the difference in other game stores. Well, it's not just about the merchandise, the space, the tables, but it's about the culture and the people that are here as well. There's so much love and cultivation of community at this store, and just people being real and down to earth and caring about, playing games with each other and taking fun seriously, truly. That type of scenario is hard to find. We've heard horror stories about TOs that have the game store try to charge them to play there. Hell, Baltimore Brawl for Infinity, they have to pay the venue. And like you're getting next to some places don't want to pay. Like Battlegrounds gives 100% prize support for every tournament they throw. They will come out even or in the hole for the sake of community because they believe that giving to their people will give back to them. And like free tables to play on. Hell, in New York, if you want to, granted it's a big city, but you want to play in a game store there, you have to rent the space.
Grognard's, which is the store closest to Adepticon grounds, you have to rent the space. Granted, it goes to store credit, but you're renting that table.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Actually, that's locally, George, before Battlegrounds and FTW rolled up, you didn't get to see this as much in the area. When the Games Workshop store first disappeared in the area, since that was a place that people actually gamed, Hobbytown USA basically dissolved a lot of the local scene because they wanted to charge like upwards of like $10 people to even roll up and like play. Had no up-to-date inventory on product. Just there's definitely a real problem of some game stores alienating their customer bases doing things like that. But luckily, a lot of them have more sense than that.
And we're not even talking to the amenities. Not only do they treat you cool and they're not up your ass to try to sell you something, but they actually care that you get a product that you want. They're not afraid to give you advice that takes you even out of the game store when it comes to hobbying or whatever. But we're talking about things like buy, sell, and trade used gear, where they have used bins that you can just dig for bits through. They have fucking awesome full armies in use cases at half price. Like they're not trying to gouge the people they buy from or the people that they sell to on the back end. It's like, it's fucking great. Just this huge community wall here that we have in the store here of all the people that work here. There's such a love for hobby and gaming here that it just makes my heart soar. And, speaking of which, one of the big upgrades we're about to have is when we have the February 22nd major event with Coastal Wargaming, Battlegrounds is investing in filling every table we have in here with the Coastal Wargaming ITC official Nova Open.
Dude, that's so cool. The Coastal Wargaming guy, cats, man, like every event they've showed up to, I feel like every time I see those guys, the event is good. Like,
yes,
they have a really good crowd come in. They roll dice amicably. They come in with really cool toys and terrain, really pretty armies, really solid group of gentlemen there.
Some of them smell really bad.
They got passion, man. I really respect passion for the hobby or just whatever people do. And I've actually come to make a lot more friends here in Battlegrounds that are hardcore D&D role players, Magic players, whatever, just because I see them come in week after week and have a crew of people that they are dedicated to roll dice with or play games with, and the level of passion that I see amongst people makes me like someone's character before I may necessarily like who they are or know who they are. I'm just really excited to have so much a store that values quality and professionalism and presentation. And I think that our presentation for the 2020 season here at Battlegrounds for the Warp Charge Gaming events is really going to kick up a notch when we got some of this sick Coastal Wargaming terrain. I'm going to keep it all nice and safe and labeled and binned up. It's only going to come out during the tournament times. Because while I was talking super hype on Battlegrounds, I will say I love our community here, but we do treat our terrain like trash. And y'all are a bunch of fucking heathens.
Heathens.
God. Quit ruining the terrain, right? Come on. That's every game store everywhere. We all know that.
I feel like, George, that you've been hanging out with the Infinity guys for too long, because I feel like that used to be a problem that I used to only hear out of the Infinity camp when I was in Battlegrounds.
You're not wrong.
These filthy 40K gamers come in. We don't want them touching our terrain because they're just a bunch of savages breaking everything.
You're not wrong. There is lots of little pieces of terrain in here. I do think I probably have one of the deepest photographical memories of the terrain that's in this store. I know very well of the pieces that we have at our disposal. And I see it get trashed. time in,
That's
time
sad,
out.
man.
The only terrain that stands the test, like you can't have no foam core up in this bitch. It has to be like straight up like Game Matty U terrain. That is some good shit. That stuff doesn't get messed up.
Solid.
Yeah, that's some heavy duty, good shit. But man, you put anything with some foam on it, it's getting destroyed. I mean, hell, even the GW, like Age of Sigmar, like temples and shit like that, like we've got it all painted up and looking great, still gets fucking busted.
That's sad.
It's something I highly get curious about is how other stores, when I do go to other stores, I look at how they manage their terrain. How they non-verbally communicate to people of how to put shit back in the right way or maintain it. Where they put space for it, all that stuff's really interesting. Let's see what Paintflow says here. Infinity requires more terrain, and it's a lot more part of the game.
That's a good point.
So when it's destroyed, it's hard to build good boards. That's totally true.
Yeah, I see Paintflow's point over there, and I mean, especially like there being like firing arcs to models and stuff like that. I mean, it's that much more interactive with the terrain, so like it definitely affects the games more visibly than the current rule set of 40K. I can definitely understand that.
Oh, I mean, hell, look at 40K players with their big fucking L in the middle. You know what I mean? It's like it's so not creative. It's just like I need a giant wall and I want it to have no ledges or windows or anything. Just one big L in the middle. You give me two. That'll make it.
Listen, man.
Hey, you were just hyping up Coastal Wargaming's terrain, and that's what it is.
Well, I'm just talking shit on 40K now, all right? Now, that's just in general. The terrain is beautiful for being a part of that culture. But
Hey.
I would much rather play on an infinity table any day.
You shut your damn mouth. How
The moral
about
of this-
you throw 40K tournaments where all the tables are infinity table style?
Oh,
man.
no one would be down with that. No one.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
Gene Stealer
yeah.
Cult is super down with that.
Dude.
That's fair. That's
my
fair.
5-man berserker squads will be running through that shit.
Yeah. Everywhere's a ruin. I could just run from one building to the next and never leave.
You ain't wrong, man.
Yeah, that would be effective.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of a question I was going to ask you guys. When we were talking about Tau and all this, the Psychic Awakening that's going to drop, has there been much cheese emerging from the interwebs about, like, are we going to see Grey Knights and Thousand Suns kick up and start putting some hurt down?
Bro, Grey Knights win right now. They win.
Mm-hmm.
They are the most improved army of the year.
They are probably the most improved army of the edition. Like,
yeah, dude. They went from bottom tier to one book, and not even like a full book.
5
just
pages,
one
right?
book.
Like, we got some pages, and these bitches
Yeah.
are the best.
And they went to top tier, S tier. You would say S tier
Wow.
because if you have the demon keyword, you don't bring your army out onto the table.
just hide.
Dude, they're 4 up. The smite does what, 4 mortal wounds?
I think is it flat 3 plus 1? Something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a big deal.
Oh no big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Nah.
So and then like the way they can like crank out the bolter stuff by like making their ammo special and then adding the extra damage and stuff to that type of weapon.
Plus 1 strength and damage to side weapons or whatever it is.
Yeah, dude, they go hard real quick.
They deserve it.
Hey, I'm not hating on it, even though I have a lot of demon keyword stuff. I'm not hating on it because if you are Chaos Space Marines and you don't rock any demon stuff, like you will smoke some Grey Knights.
Yep.
Will everybody else smoke Grey Knights besides demons, or what?
No, demons get smoked. Like just anything with a demon keyword is getting removed. Like my Catan, we'll just say it died. Like I don't get to play with it. We'll just say it died.
So, but are other armies in danger, or are they just like okay against everybody else?
Well, dude, no, they're still really good.
They're still pretty good
because they're very elite and they can put out a lot of firepower and psychic power. Even though they don't automatically put out 4 wounds on things that aren't demons, they can still put out heavy wounds on smites.
Yeah.
Yep.
And lots of them with extra range because they have that psychic brotherhood situation, just like Thousand Suns have.
Yep.
So they're getting that 24-inch range. They're getting no penalty to extra smites and just letting it fly.
I've always they're just like Space Wolves. I've played Dark Angels, Space Wolves. I've always had a love for Grey Knights.
Ooh, speaking
Dude.
of Dark Angels, they're probably like the worst Psychic Awakening book. I feel like I could be wrong, but
Oh,
like
really?
I
Well,
don't know, man. I feel like the expectation was maybe they're gonna get something similar to Grey Knights. I am not seeing Dark Angels
oh no,
live up to the hype.
no, they're on Salamander level for sure. They definitely aren't going to jump right to the top. But what this does mean is Space Wolves are officially the worst Space Marines out there.
Oh yeah,
Oh
it's
no.
true.
They are officially the worst Space Marines.
Dude, I had real high hopes when they gave us the Space Wolves Codex. I was like, oh, it's on now. Everybody's gonna get taken down, and it was not impressive. It was like fluffy, like compared to the other releases with like Big Bang rules. We just had like the rules that we should have baseline, and then just like some fluffy touches.
Have a wolf and dreadnought. It's not as good as the other dreadnought.
Oh, you remember that? Remember that 3-up invuln you used to have on your fucking venerable dreadnoughts? It's gonna be a 4-up from now on. What the hell, right?
Yeah, that was not good.
That pissed me
It didn't
off.
work out well.
That pissed me off.
Dude, but you can make a lone dude become a character.
Oh, the lone wolf, the lone wolf strat, baby. Yeah.
Dude, I don't got the power to just make dudes characters.
What I have for I realized late in time, but what I still haven't got to do yet is you make a wolfen lone wolf. That slaps. That
Yeah, because then he can't be targeted.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
dumb.
well,
It's dumb.
and he fights when he dies,
Hey.
and he's a beat
Hey,
stick. Yeah,
hey, that's dumb.
a regular pissant's stupid.
Hey, you hear me?
No. You give it to a
Bro.
wolfen and it kicks ass.
I can just bring a Master of Executioner and then just like let him roam free, and he's doing way more than a wolfen is.
No, James.
And
not
he
ju-
already has the
no,
character role.
James is not just any wolfen; it's a lone wolf wolfen.
My point exactly. You're bringing command points.
A lone wolf.
Try to make him as good as my dude.
Now he can heroic intervene, dude.
Oh, dude, my dude can heroic intervene 6 inches just like yours. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, well, that's the same as like back and forth. Somebody just mentioned like now Tau gets to make all their weapons max output D6,
Shots,
D3.
yeah.
But it's only one model.
But
It's
like,
only one.
but like Iron Warriors, they get to just re-roll. They don't get to like
Dude,
max everything. They
Hey,
just get to re-roll.
Iron Warriors get to never die.
Yeah.
Never die.
Also, I mean, even right now, like one of the things I'm most scared of at the tournament for the major is Raven Guard have that trick with the character to have like a -4 indirect fire bolter that's like flat 3 or 4 damage. Like, dude, that just picks up Genestealer cult characters. Like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah. Oh man, speaking of which, what happened over this past week is I sure did get my ass kicked by Austin Wingfield.
Oh yeah, I saw some of that.
Woo! I was getting my head in the clouds a little bit, man. I was like, I played Iron Hands, I played Imperial Fist, no, it was Ultramarines, played a couple Necron games, and I was just slapping people down with the Thousand Sun Disco combo and the Lord of Skull Disco combo. I was like, man, I can't lose. So I was like, so I messaged Austin, renowned player in the world out there, veterans of the Long War, Bat Reps, Wobbly Modelers, the Team Battle
Team
Brothers,
USA.
Team USA, all that. Great player, great renowned dude. So I was like, yo, come whoop my ass. And I was like, just come whoop my ass. And he didn't even I don't even think he tailored anything to whoop my ass. He just brought his LVO list. And it was, he did the Possess Bomb in its full entirety.
It's so nasty.
Did you see it, James, that battle, or no?
No, I don't need to see it. I saw it on paper before LVO happened. I know the chaos rules, and I was like, oh, remember when I was trying the Possess Bomb?
Yeah.
Way
Yep.
before Possessed were good? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's something here. Well, they gave them what they needed.
Dude,
and
it was stacks and stacks. Double Dark Apostles. Like, he had it seemed like there was every character in the world to do every buff in the world. Oh, I need to take two characters to do this buff? I'll take 2. It was nuts.
Yeah, he was using the is it the apostle, the ones that have the prayers on a 2-up instead of a 3-up.
Yeah, it's them. It's them plus disciples that make that happen. We just got a
Yeah.
shout out from SpongeBob SquarePants. Thanks for the follow there, buddy. He said he's watching from Florida. That's cool, man. I hadn't seen you tune in. Thank you
Good.
for jumping on.
I want to
The
know.
SpongeBob
are you
SquarePants.
Pretty
in
sure,
a
dude.
pineapple under the sea?
Yeah, you live in Florida. I'm pretty positive.
Dude, that's so cool.
I know, right?
Like, I don't even know what to say about it. I feel like we made it.
Yeah,
we made it, bro.
Chris is going to get something. Oh my God.
We made it, bro.
Nice. Is that a fucking pineapple, Chris? Oh my god. Wow.
It is a pineapple for SpongeBob.
That is serious. Make that your display board, dude.
It's actually a cat house.
You know what I won at the Infinity tournament this past weekend is I won a MDF trash truck. It's like literally like a trash truck, a truck that carries trash.
Like a dump truck.
Yeah, dump truck that carries trash. It's a trash truck. And
A garbage truck.
That one.
Yeah, I want to like drive up to the kill team board with my crew in the back and like jump out.
That's cool.
It's gonna be badass. But a fucking giant pineapple works too, man. That's sick.
Yeah. So how did that game go with Austin?
It was terrible. So I got my ass kicked in every way. So it was great. Like I had fun, and I learned something. Usually when I don't know what I'm up against, like what exactly is going to happen, I just run right at it. And that mentality kind of came over me.
Dude, that mentality will fuck you because you got to pull apart.
This is a lesson of restraint, baby. You want to see what not to do when it's two big killing armies. It was very much an AOS type scenario where everybody can kill each other. It's just about who gets to fight first in the right order kind of thing. And I did not go to that mentality of like, okay, these are the two big threats. He had obliterators and he had the fucking possess bomb. And the 3 obliterators shooting twice, each time he shot with them, he got the max 3 damage. He had them all buffed up with character wraps. He killed all 3 discos in one shooting phase with 3 obliterators. All 3 discos gone in one shooting phase. And then his possess killed Magnus. So all I had, literally in one turn, lose Magnus, lose all my discos. I, for the sake of funniness, charge all of the rest of my demon princes into the possess bomb. Managed to. I actually passed my invuln saves enough to kill the possess bomb. But then the rest of his army was left and he killed me. So by 2 turns, I was tabled turn 2.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny?
What?
Is that exact list that tabled you in turn 2? The new Grey Knights tables that in turn 2.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, what's wacky, so what was really funny is that if you watch, even if you just watch the very beginning of the battle, is that I deployed like I've been deploying against everybody else, the ones that don't run right at me and want to charge, the guys that want to stand back and shoot, the Necrons and whatever. So I put all 3 of my discos right next to each other, the contorted right, like my whole army is just right there. And, and had he got first, with the lack of insight I really had is experience-wise, even though he was telling me to my face, like, hey, this is what I can do, from the lack of experience, he could, because he was Alpha Legion possessed, so he had the ability to redeploy them before the game to begun, then do a strat to move 9 inches beyond his deployment zone, then fucking move and then warp time. Right?
That's sauce.
So he had every bit of math to put his possessed in front of all my guys within 2 inches.
Hey, Austin's watching.
All right, what's up, Austin? Yeah, he had every ability to just wreck everything I had there in a moment. If he went first, and I was like, well, I appreciate you letting me know. I've already set up this way. I wanted you to whoop my ass. I want to teach the audience a lesson, and luckily I got to go first. And I didn't get just beat on my deployment line.
Failed warp time.
I just ended up getting destroyed as it went along. And the feedback, which actually those pictures I just had pulled up a second ago, shows a look at the battle. Let me see if I can pull it back up real quick. What I needed to do was hide my discos. And when you're big chaotic monsters, it's really hard to want to do that. Let's see, I'm almost there now. So that's the board. Where's this image here? There it is. Okay, cool. Check this out. All right, cool. So this is actually the deployment zone. There we go. So you can see that one thing that Austin did that was super smart is he put all these Plague Burst crawlers, which I wasn't really expecting to see him bring anyways, but it was a great unit to do its job, and that's the kind of player I see Austin being, is often figuring out the holes, figuring out the tools that he needs to accomplish certain problems in the meta, and then having the right tool set to accomplish that job, and knowing how to be flexible with those tools to make them the most effective in the moment. And so you can see my discos right in the gap where those demon princes are in the back of the bottom of the page there. That's where they were all in front of my demon princes. They all 3 ran up with a Contorted Epitome, and I landed on those objectives. You see Magnus off to the right. He went onto that objective, ready to warp time into those 2 Blake Burst crawlers. And basically, no matter what I did on my turn 1, if I made all my charges, all my warp times, I'm only going to kill some Plague Burst crawlers. And he's going to be right there to slap back with Obliterators and Possessed. And so I should have had the foresight to know that, and playing this game, I would definitely do it different. Actually, based on the experience of the game, in the Adepticon missions, you place the terrain in a strategic way before the game begins. I would have placed the terrain in a completely different way. If you look on Austin's side of the table on the top there, he had a Scorpius hanging out behind the large tooth piece in the middle. And I pretty much set that piece there. Like, I set the one down on my side, he mirrored it. But basically, I was giving him places to hide things that I didn't really know I was giving places to hide. By putting those 2 pieces of terrain in that top right that close together, he made a fortress. That would have been hard to avoid, but he made a fortress with his Plague Burst crawlers. And I have no, infantry keyword, so I have to go head on, even with fly. There's no way Magnus's base is landing behind those Plague Burst crawlers. So no matter what, I was gonna have to slap those. Austin's suggestion, totally see it now, is that I should have took advantage of my assets. And of course, Thousand Suns has plus 6 inch to cast. I got 14 powers to cast. I should have took my max range back and spread out my army to really make him have to make choices on who he goes to fight, and throw those mind bullets for as long as possible to reduce the screenage, to get a hole, to be able to get to overcome, get the advantage. Basically, I need to create an advantage somehow. And by running my army up into the middle and up into his face, it did nothing but just feed him his victory, kind of thing. So
absolutely,
it's tough to have restraint and be tactical. I know myself as a bloodthirsty player, and I just had the lust. I had the glint in the eye, and just want to play a fast, smooth game. Had other agendas that later that afternoon, said fuck it and ran right at him. But definitely not how you win, and you can see that lesson in detail in our bat rep.
Yeah, dude, just by seeing this picture of the deployment, you can see how well he deployed compared to relative to where you're at.
Oh,
and keeping your range for smites is great, but you also want to set yourself where you're pulling his Possessed into 2 different targets.
Yes.
And not maximizing attacks, because you don't want him to overload, and so that if you do make those invul saves, you're shrugging off multiple damage at a time.
100.
Yep.
100%.
So that's a big thing with that kind of matchup, and it's awesome that Austin's watching right now, because I'm very curious about how he's going to handle the Grey Knights. My assumption, most players that are going to have the demon keyword still in their list with Chaos Space Marines, is they're going to bring Poxwalkers for the Feel No Pain and Fearless cheap front screen.
And they're not demons.
Yeah, and it makes it really easy to position your Grey Knight players to be countered, I guess is what you would just say, because that's how Austin sets you up, is to be countered. He's like, all right, you go first.
Exactly.
I'm waiting for the counter. And if he plays like this with some Poxwalkers in his list, you're not that scared of Grey Knights, because you can just set yourself up to be countered, because you can move so fast with Possess. And being off the Legion, you can definitely put them in a position where they can be countered because of the fact they can't be shot at unless they're the closest. They still have the speed.
Yeah, that might be that's the curiosity, I guess, is how much do you tech for Grey Knights and Smites, or do you tech more for the other kind of things that are on the field? Austin said non-demons will stand in front, even cultists are worth sacrificing, etc. Yeah, so okay, non-demons up front. Love it. Great breakdown, debrief on this matchup. Any change up on your list based on how it went down? No, I mean, as Austin was talking with me that day, I don't feel like there was. I think I just need to play better. There was ways for my list to be effective in that match. And really, if I could have somehow not got the discos killed by the Obliterators, if I could lose 1, lose 2, but not all 3 in one shooting phase, obviously. But
those Obliterators are fire, man.
Yeah, I just needed a back and forth. I needed to be able to create an opportunity for there to be an advantage. And because his big bombs were the Obliterators and the Possessed. If I could remove those problems, the rest of his shooting, with the Plague Burst crawlers and stuff, Magnus was not a great target. -1 to hit, 3 up invuln. Hell, even shooting the discos with the shooting wasn't that scary. The Obliterators were the danger. So maybe it would have been all in, sacrifice Magnus to kill Obliterators before discos come out to play, something like that,
Well, obliterators, you think like they're great because they can go hot sometimes, but man, when they were 115 points, they were just so bad.
Yeah.
Like so bad. Now that they're back to 95 points, they have play, especially with their little power fists.
Yeah.
You can definitely utilize them, especially with the fact that he's already utilizing the buffs that obliterators need because you already have possessed that use the same buffs.
Some overlap.
It's a lot of overlap, and they definitely give you the shooting that you want. Their biggest problem is the fact that they have variables and only 24-inch range.
Yeah.
Like that 24-inch range puts them into such a counterable position as a unit. Like a high-end player is going to spread them out, make sure that you're going to drop them where they want you to drop them, most likely on turn 3, and then they have one target that's probably going to be thrown away, knowing that you're going to be placing that unit there, and then they're going to get countered. So it's the gamble unit, man. If they go in hot and they get that 9 strength, neg 3 AP, 3 damage, and you do that twice on something, it is gross. And then make a charge and get some extra power fist shots, dude.
Well, like I said in that, we just had a question when I changed the list. One concept too is, like I said, I think I placed the terrain incorrectly, thinking about if my strategy. Hell, I would have loved to put as much terrain as possible just right across the middle of the board. Knowing the type of deployment zone, if I just had as big a wall as possible to reduce line of sight from those guns and to make holes, like tight little pathways that those possessed had to go through, if they just could walk across the whole board as a big wall, if I can funnel
Oh, what up, Juice?
Yeah, Juice out there floating around. He was tuning in for that game too.
Steven 4.
But yeah, if I just could make a funnel for him to have to travel through versus just wide open lanes, and I think I could have placed the train better, could have played more cautiously, maybe not go I should have went to the back edge of the board and actually chose second and tried to beckon him my way to set the trap. But no screens. Something interesting we were talking about that day too is there's a lot of new stuff out there that I think haven't all unraveled to people's eyes yet. I mean, heck, we were talking about earlier in the show with these rules that are crossing over, like the new Tau book or the Thousand Suns or the Guard, where their rules, their auras, their relics are applying to friendly models. Well, one thing that's in the Thousand Suns book is they have some new strats that are based on the Rubric Marines. But what's
redeploy.
Weird, yeah, but what's weird though is that they don't say Thousand Sun Rubric Marines, and apparently the Rubric Marines are in the Chaos Space Marine book.
Yeah, absolutely. You can bring them as Black Legion. You can bring them as Night Lords. You can bring them as lots of different things.
Exactly.
Man.
So if you bring a detachment that unlocks these Coven Legion abilities that come from the new Thousand Sun Psychic Awakening, all of a sudden you now have strats that work on other Legions' Rubric Marines. So you can have Alpha Legion Rubric Marines that are getting to redeploy and then getting all these new special buffs that come from a Thousand Suns book, even though they're not even Thousand Sun keyword. It's crazy.
That's cool. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, that was something that Austin brought to my attention. So I feel GW's fucking up, I think, but.
And that's the same thing is you can still bring 40 cultists and bring them back. Because Death Guard.
Oh yeah, Death Guard has it.
Thousand Suns didn't change that unless it was in this book. I haven't gone through it and looked at the cultists on that, but you can still bring them in 40 with Death Guard for sure. And
that's true.
Bring them back if you have a detachment of just normal Chaos Space Marines.
Oh really? Because it's not Legion specific.
No.
Oh wow.
Just Chaos Space Marines. Heretic Astartes. You can bring them back.
That's another instance then of those keyword crossovers.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, it's kind of. I love keyword crossovers, kind of like the Contorted and Slanesh discos. It's fun.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love how the Contorted, if you just bring her so that she gets the loci and pairs off to those possessed, they're advancing and charging for free. It's nasty.
Absolutely. Well, yo, guys, we're at the. This has been a fun conversation. We're at the hour and 9, though, man. It's about time to rip this.
Yeah,
episode.
there's a little bit too much Infinity talk, though. We gotta cut that shit out.
Oh yeah. I love it, guys. Go check out our Infinity Bat Rep channel. We got a secondary channel now. Warped Charge Gaming presents Infinity Battle Reports. I love it. I hope you go check it out and play games with me.
If you haven't, check out that battle report of George and Austin throwing down.
Yeah,
Definitely
that's
some
it.
learning moments there.
Yeah, that was a good one. You should watch me whoop a Necron player, Mike, a bunch of times, and then be like, "Oh God, he's invincible. How can he ever lose?" And then watch me play Austin. Look at the disparity between Necrons and Chaos.
Just that picture of deployment alone, there's so many little golden nuggets there if you just pay attention.
Yeah,
Oh, totally,
That's
totally.
definitely a cool one.
You know, I was all about education, guys. Obviously, I'm a much better tactician than I showed in that game. Just trying to help everybody out, you know. I always quote Chris. Chris, one year at Adepticon, Tyranids beat Tyranids. George beat George. I often beat myself in these games by bloodlust and problems, yeah. But that is what you don't do. I'm glad you guys tuned in. It was good to see some friendly faces out there. Juice, Cesar, Austin, SpongeBob.
Chicken Bone.
Yeah, Chicken Bone.
Oh,
Thank
dude,
you so much.
SpongeBob forgot we made it.
Yeah,
Damn
dude.
right. We had SpongeBob watching. I don't know if he's still out there, but thank you for joining us from Florida, Bikini Bottom, wherever you're from.
That's right. Pineapples under the seat. Painful exception. Love you, buddy. I love how he always throws out the infinity. Later, doggy. We'll catch you guys next week, and tune in this Saturday for Kill Team, Sunday for Warcry. Monday, I'm be fighting my good man Travis with his Fire Slayers or Dwarves versus that Zinch army I showed you. And there's going to be several bat reps coming up this upcoming week, so just tune in. Appreciate you. Keep taking photos seriously. Catch you next time. Peace.
Later.